Okay, so welcome to the second class of basic electronics. So we were studying about filters and we discussed high pass filter and low pass filter. We discussed their transfer characteristics and we discussed what is cutoff frequency. So today we would be studying something, of course in brief, which is known as band pass filters. So just like high pass filter passes the high frequency components or the high frequency signals, and low pass filter passes the low frequency components or the low frequency signal, the band pass filter basically passes a band of frequencies. Okay, so how do you construct a band pass filter? We basically have a low pass filter here. So this is a low pass filter, and this is V in here at the input. Now the low pass filter has a transfer characteristics like this. Now what I want is that I want to select the range of frequencies around here, but I don't want the frequencies around this, or I don't want the low frequencies. Basically I want a band of frequencies. Okay, so this is this blue line here basically is the characteristics of the low pass filter, or this blue line gives the range of frequencies over which the filter outputs the signal. Okay, now let us cascade another high pass filter here. So this portion is a basically low pass filter, just as I stated, and it gives the transfer characteristics like this. It filters out the low frequency components of the signal, and at the output, that is between these 2 points, this is the transfer characteristics of the filter. Now this frequency range, this entire frequency range, the total frequency range is now passed through a high pass filter, which is let me draw with a different color, which is basically this part. And let us say that this part, which is the high pass filter, has the transfer characteristics like this. So this is for high pass filter. Okay, so at the output, that is between these 2 points, this is my output signal here. At the output, I am basically getting this band of frequencies. So this is the curve for the transfer function at the output, this black one. So what does the low pass filter does? The low pass filter basically rejects the high frequency components. So at the output of the low pass filter we only have low to medium frequency components, and then at the output we cascade one high pass filter here, that is this one. And the high pass filter, what it basically does is it actually filters out the low frequency component of the output that has appeared over here. Okay, so we ultimately get a band of frequencies, and let us say that the cutoff frequency of this high pass filter is somewhere here. So let us call it omega high pass, and the cutoff frequency of the low pass filter is somewhere here. Let us call it as omega low pass. And for this circuit to act as a band pass filter, this omega high pass must be lesser than omega low pass. Okay, and of course you can understand why, because let me use a different diagram here. So let us say if the transfer characteristics of the low pass filters were like this, and the transfer characteristics, so this is the transfer characteristics of the low pass filter, and let us say that if the transfer characteristics of the high pass filter were somewhat like this, which is basically the condition that omega high pass is actually greater than omega low pass, then you can understand that there is no common range of frequency which is actually filtered at the output, or which actually appears at the output. Okay, of course this range of frequency appears, some part of this range of frequency appears, but then also the response is actually quite low. Okay, so mod of V out by mod of V in is really low around here for both the high pass and the low pass filters, and that is why it doesn't actually act as a band pass filter. So to get a band pass filter, we must have omega high pass to be less than omega low pass, and of course this doesn't act as a band pass filter. Okay, before proceeding further, let us discuss two other properties of RC circuits which might be required in your laboratory. So let us consider a low pass filter. So this is a low pass filter, and we saw earlier that V out is basically given by 1 divided by j omega RC plus 1 times V in. If you don't remember, just turn a few pages around. We discussed this in the first lecture actually. Okay, now under the condition that this j omega RC is actually much greater than 1. Of course j omega RC is actually imaginary quantity, so we'll go with this quantity. Under the condition that omega RC is actually much greater than 1, this denominator actually becomes approximately j omega rc, because this 1 here can be neglected with respect to this j omega rc here. Okay, so if omega rc is much greater than 1, then this denominator becomes approximately j omega rc. So V out is approximately 1 by j omega rc V in. Okay, now this is in frequency space. Of course, when we bring in this quantity j omega here, this basically means we are dealing with the frequency space. So to bring it to the time space, we need to do the inverse Fourier transform, and the inverse Fourier transform of 1 by j omega is basically the integral operation. So V out, if we do the inverse transform, okay, so V out is basically 1 by RC integral of V in t dt. So under the condition that omega RC is much greater than 1, under this condition, this circuit basically acts as an integrator. Of course, when this condition that this omega RC much greater than 1 is not satisfied, under that condition this circuit doesn't give you an output which is proportional to the exact integration of the input signal V, but it still resembles somewhat the integration of the input signal, or it still gives you a output voltage which is proportional or which is related to the integration of the input voltage signal. Okay, when this condition is met, omega RC much greater than 1, then the output is actually proportional to the exact integration of the input signal. Of course, when this condition is met, then the output is really small, the magnitude of the output is really small, but however small the magnitude of the output is, it is proportional to the exact integration of the input signal. So this low pass filter under this condition basically acts as an integrator, and you will see this experiment in your lab when you do the lab classes. Of course, this time we are having online lab, so I mean the hardware based experiment might not be feasible, but you can see that this is a part of your experiment number 2, I think, in the lab, that you have to do an experiment with the RC signal with the low pass filter and see that the output resembles that of an integrator. Okay, similarly, if we have a high pass filter over here, so in high pass the positions of the capacitor and the resistor are interchanged from that of the low pass filter. So in this case, just as we saw in lecture number 1, V out by V out is basically given by j omega RC divided by j omega RC plus 1 into V in. Again, we are not going to derive it because we have already done that in class number 1. Now, under the condition, or if omega RC is much less than 1, under this condition this j omega RC in the denominator can be neglected with respect to this 1 here. So V out becomes approximately equal to j omega RC V in. Now this is again the equation in the frequency space. If we do the inverse Fourier transform, this j omega basically corresponds to the differentiation operator. So doing the inverse Fourier transform, V out is approximately equal to RC dV in dt, or let us say ddt of V in t. Okay. So again, if this condition omega RC is much lesser than 1, if this condition holds, the output signal or the output gives you a signal which is proportional to the exact differentiation of the input signal. If this condition is not met, then also the output resembles somewhat the differentiation of the input signal, or the output resembles a signal which is related or which is proportional to the differentiation of the input signal. Again, this is also a part of experiment number 2 in your basic electronics lab. Okay. So under the condition that omega RC is much less than 1, this high pass filter basically acts as, or basically gives you a output signal which is proportional to the exact differentiation of the input signal. But of course, if this condition is met, in that case the output signal is again very small. Okay, but however small it is, it always gives you a signal which is proportional to the exact differentiation of the input signal. So high pass filter as a differentiator. Okay, so we will later see more accurate ways of constructing differentiation and integration operation using circuits when we study op-amp. So right now the low pass and the high pass filter can act as an integrator and a differentiator if certain conditions are met. So we are done with filters for the time being, of course. Those who are from electrical, if any one of you are from electrical or electronics background, you will actually study all these things in detail later in your third year or maybe in your fourth semester. Anyway, so the next one is Thevenin's theorem. So Thevenin's theorem is again a part of your lab, and we will also require it when we study BJT or bipolar junction transistor. So let us just understand what Thevenin's theorem is. So Thevenin's theorem states that any combination of independent voltage and current sources and resistors can be replaced by a single voltage source which we will call as VTH, and a resistor RTH in series with VTH. Okay, the value of VTH is equal to the open circuit voltage between the two terminals. On the other hand, the value of RTH is the resistance seen between the two terminals with the voltage source replaced by a short circuit. So we will just see how to calculate RTH later. First, let us see how to actually calculate VTH. Let us actually consider a network of resistors and a voltage source. So let us consider this voltage source here, then this 5 ohm resistor here, this 2.5 ohm resistor here, 5 ohm, 5 ohm, and then let us consider a resistor here RL, and we do not know exactly the value of RL. So this is also 5 ohm. And you are asked, so you are given this network and you are asked that what is the Thevenin's voltage between these two terminals A and B. Okay, so how do we find Thevenin's voltage? So we have written it here. The value of VTH is equal to the open circuit voltage between two terminals. Okay, this VTH is actually called the Thevenin's voltage. Okay, and the value of VTH is equal to the open circuit voltage between two terminals. So how do we find the value of VTH between A and B? So the question is, what is VTH between the terminals A and B? So the value of VTH is the open circuit voltage. So what do we need to do is we need to remove this RL from here because we need to open circuit it. Remember, the value of VTH is equal to the open circuited voltage between A and B. So we need to open circuit it. So we need to remove this RL from here. We need to open circuit these two terminals over here, and we need to measure the voltage between this point A and point B. So this total resistor combination 5 omega and 5 omega in parallel. So this is 2.5 ohm. So what is the value of the voltage between the two terminals A and B? So this is basically 5 volts into this 2.5 omega over here divided by the entire resistance of this part. So what is the entire resistance of this part? We have 5 ohm plus 2.5 ohm over here plus 2.5 ohm, which comes from the parallel combination of these two resistors. So 10 ohm total. Okay, so divided by 10 ohm, and this gives me 1.25 volts. Okay, now the next question is how to find the value of RTH. So RTH is basically the resistance between the two terminals with the voltage source or with all the voltage sources replaced by by short circuits and all the current sources replaced by open circuit. RTH is actually called the Thevenin's resistance. So let us calculate what is the value of RTH between these two terminals A and B. Okay, so what do we want to do first? We first, as I stated, that to calculate the Thevenin's resistance, all the voltage sources should be replaced by short circuit. So the first thing to do is that this 5-volt source should be replaced by short circuit. So we short circuit this 5-volt source over here, and then we try to find out the resistance seen between these two terminals. So what is the resistance that is seen between these two terminals? So note that when we look between these two terminals A and B over here, this 5 omega resistor and this two 5 omega resistor are in parallel, which is obviously is evident. Now when we look from this terminal over here, when we look in this direction, this entire path of 2.5 ohm resistor and 5 ohm resistor is actually lying in parallel to this combination of 5 ohms and 5 ohm resistor. Okay, because this 5 ohm resistor is also connected between the terminals A and B. This 5 ohm resistor is also connected between the terminal A and B, and this series combination of 2.5 ohm and 5 ohm resistor over here, these two resistors are also connected between these 2 points A and B over here. Okay, because this point has basically, at this point the voltage is same as this point A. Okay, and at this point also the voltage is basically the same at the point, or at this point the voltage is basically the same as that of point B. So this combination of 2.5 ohm and 5 ohm resistor is also lying in parallel with this two 5 ohm resistor. So RTH is basically 5 ohm parallel to 5 ohm. So these two resistors over here parallel to 2.5 plus 5 ohm. So basically this combination of resistors. Okay, so basically 5 ohm parallel to 5 ohm parallel to 7.5 ohm. and this basically, if you calculate, this would give me 15. So this is basically, if we write it in the parallel resistance form, the value is 1 by 5 plus 1 by 5 plus 1 by 7.5 ohms, and this would actually give me 15 by 8 ohms if you calculate. Okay, so this is the value of RTH over here. Now Thevenin's theorem basically states that any network containing independent voltage source and current sources and a network of independent resistor can be replaced by a single voltage source and a single resistor in series with a voltage source. So let us say if I want to find the equivalent of this part of the circuit between this point A and this point B over here, just as we stated, that is, if we want to find the Thevenin's equivalent of the circuit for this part, this entire part over here, then this really, the equivalent circuit is the Thevenin's voltage VTH, which is the single voltage source, and a series resistor RTH. So this entire circuit which contains both the circuit which is circled in the blue lines over here and this resistor RL is really equivalent to this voltage source, and then there is this Thevenin's resistance over here, and then so this voltage source VTH and RTH is basically equivalent to this part of the circuit, that just as I stated, this is really equivalent to this part of the circuit, and then there is a resistance RL. So these two are basically the points A and B, and then there is a resistance RL after this point A and B, or there is a resistance RL which is connected to this point A and B. So the entire circuit basically looks like, or the equivalent circuit for the entire thing basically looks like this. Okay, so this is the utility of basically Thevenin's theorem, that any complicated network of resistors, independent voltage source and current source can actually be replaced by a single voltage source which we call Thevenin's voltage, which is represented by VTH, and by a single resistance which is known as Thevenin's resistance, which lies in series with the voltage source VTH. Okay, so this is the utility of the Thevenin's theorem. Right now, just know the theorem and how to apply the theorem. We will see more applications of this theorem when we actually study the bipolar junction transistor, or the BJT. So this basically ends our discussion on Thevenin's theorem. So now we will be gradually moving into the main topics of our basic electronics course. So this was mainly an introduction and mainly necessary for your lab. Of course, again I repeat that this is in the syllabus, but we did this earlier because it is contained in your lab experiment number 2, which you will be doing perhaps in the second week or something like that. So from the next class we will actually move into the main components or main syllabus of basic electronics. Okay, thank you all.